now you know the much acclaimed master of the universe, Stefan the Almighty, right? Well, he is famous for this. Now, those of you who are not Icelandic probably are just reading a load of jibber jabber right there, but let me explain. Stefan the Almighty is a bad man. He's a very bad man. He that's not him there. This is some outraged passerby. Obviously, everybody knows Iceland for being a tear in the world's bottom, where loads of lava pours out. And basically, he did a very naughty thing. He made the QUAFE fountain. So, let me give you the story. It's an interesting story. We'll talk dust in a moment. Basically, there's this Danish artist who is famous for being a character, let's say. So he invited, Stefan was telling us, he invited friends round and basically cooked them a meal used with made with his own body fat. So they ate him, not even in a good way. So he's that kind of artist. Interesting to the extreme. And he basically flew all the way to Iceland to do a, quote, installation. And Stefan the Almighty, being the bad boy that he is, basically helped him out. And what they did is they dumped a load of dye in the huge geyser, the one that all the tourists go to, and it queefed out a load of QUAFE. Oh, isn't that lovely? So there we go. Stefan the Almighty, they got arrested. Shit happened. He basically ended up on E-Wing. He became like the governor of E-Wing. And then basically made them all sit there and play Dust 514 and give him officer gear, or he went round and made sure that they got bummed severely by his boys. So there we go. That's the tale of a little interesting thing I thought I'd share with you. It is a wonderful thing to remember that Iceland is such a quirky place because it made games like this. And I think when you look at that, it just makes me smile. Anyway, let's talk Dust 514. So yeah, by the way, just if you have QUAFE stuff, trade it to Stefan just to sort of wind him up. It'll be funny. Seriously, if you have any QUAFE stuff want to give away, just give it to Stefan. So there we go. Yeah, interesting stuff. I think we're going to talk a bit more about the patch now. Let me be clear with this, right? So I think at the moment the game's pretty good and I like the direction it's going. The meta levels is actually sitting on my mind quite a bit, that whole meta levels stuff. Because it means that you're going to get kind of an interesting future of the game where maybe they'll stop people using prototype, or you can use prototype, but you have to then reduce your suit module allocation. So you could use maybe a prototype gun, but maybe only an advanced or basic suit. So I like this. This is good. These are good things happening. I really welcome it. I think eventually it's going to mean that matchmaking should just be done by tiers, so you can run all officer and proto. Like I could run this suit if I wish, but then I'm only going to really play officer and proto. So, and I'm fine with that. I am actually tickety boo with that because I don't mind. I would rather just play a fun game. So I could just run all basic gear and I'd be quite happy with that, because I think when you take a lot of people out of their suits and officer guns and prototype guns, etc., they're not very good players. Their gun game is pretty awful, a bit like mine. But I think I'd actually have more fun just playing the game my own unique way. So I'm welcoming that. I think even hopefully there's a meta level which is just 0. That would be nice, or minus under 10, let's say. So really like it. If you haven't noticed it, go check it, because you're going to have to be wary of it soon. Not yet, but soon. And right now, I mean, it just needs a shot in the arm. It really does. In terms of players, I kind of urge you, if you're not playing this game, just give it a go. If you've still got your PS3 plugged in, just give it a go. Probably do it maybe outside of Euro time zone because Euro time zone is shocking if you play on Euro time zone servers, that is. I don't know, to be honest, there's still the challenge of getting a good game out of it, so I would just stress it's not the easiest thing to do. So far, as of about 25 games, which is quite a lot when you think about it, it's 25 games of the same map almost. I must admit there's very few games in there which were close. There's many games in there that were just utter stomps, and to be honest, that's not good. We should do some stats on it, because I think the reality is that a lot of people don't realise. I mean, yeah, a lot of people run with a very good group, so you're going to have, oh god, that's not good, is it? That you're going to have a group of people who just never actually experience the problem, because they run with a pretty powerful group, and maybe they just are always dominating. We used to be like this. I remember when we had Judge and Dell in Dropship and Tank, it just, we were pretty tough. Now we don't have that. Yeah, we get killed quite a lot. Still got some of the best players in the game, I think, though. People like Jolly Roger. Oh my god, that guy's good. And yeah, it just like sometimes you just have a good match, sometimes you don't. I mean, we had a really good one recently against some Russians, and I forgot to record it. What a knobhead. But it was basically against a group of Russians who we've played, Rastarat and others, really good players, enjoyable to play against, I must admit. And it was such a close match because it was real push and retreat. So we pushed, took the bridge, they then took it back. And I remember at the end of it just thinking, God, that was a good match, because it was 50-50 who would win. With this match, that we're probably not going to win this one. Because you can kind of tell, can't you? But with that one, it was really, oh my God, who's going to win? And that, to me, that was my first game with the new patch. And I remember thinking, if they're like this, I'm a happy man. But then I realised, no, they're not like this. In fact, all 22 games after that were nothing like that. And that's what kind of got me, because, I don't know, the matchmaking doesn't work. We just keep getting put against really, really good regular playing teams. And it's like, we don't do that. We're off building bases in H1Z1, brah, and flying mighty capital ships around asteroid belts. That's what we do, brah. I mean, geez, I don't play all the time. But anyway, there you go. I think the game is still very much fun. I would urge people to keep playing it because you can get something from it. I really would maybe just urge CCP to do one little thing, and that is just to put a matchmaking game mode in that maybe you have to kind of you have to track maybe how often the players log in or something like that, but just put something in here that says, okay, we notice you've not logged on for a while. Play in the academy for 2 games. Okay, that means that players would then have a wonderful kind of just 2 games of relatively moderate gameplay. I mean, again, I don't want to make the academy unfair, don't get me wrong. So already there's counter argument to this, but let me just explain what I do. Just make it so that you basically can just set the the first 2 games that you play just to be a little bit more friendly and a little bit less kind of proto stompy stomp. If they could do that, I'd be a very happy Pyrex, because I just think that's maybe what's needed. Just the ability to say, we notice you've not played in a fair while. Would you like to play the academy? And give you the option. You don't have to, but I thought that'd be nice if they could do that. So there we go. I don't know. It's probably not possible. It's probably very difficult to do that. But there we go. Generally, I think there's just so much kind of yet to be done in this game. And I think even, I said in the last video that, some people are kind of, they're sat here waiting to get more stuff from the game. They play it religiously. And, they're very loyal. And I salute those people, because I think that's awesome. I wish I was more loyal than that. Well, I must be. I'm still doing videos of it. I did get asked this by Shipstorm, why do I still do videos of it? And the answer is, I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's just because every so often, I don't know, it's an easy game to play. That's probably, let's sing some praise of it, because there is no easier game to get into than Dust. And here I'm gonna be very complimentary to Dust now, because one of the things I hate about things like H1Z1 is it's such a serious game. And let me give you an example, because we're currently building a new base in that game, and after I play just half an hour of that game, my back is so tense and I'm all tensed up and, oh my God, there's somebody there, and oh my God, zombies, that when I stop playing, I almost need a chiropractor to crick my back in place. And that's just because I'm so tensed up from playing the game. And that's cool. I like that. Now, Dust doesn't do that to me in the slightest, because it's a round-based game with no implications or severity in any way. So it's actually kind of a pointless game in terms of its what am I looking at? Its impact. There's no impact in Dust. None of it matters. So what? You want a planetary flag on a map? So what? Seriously, only about another 200 or 300 people give a shit. I mean, that's the irony of it, is that nobody. If when not enough people care about it, then what's the point? And I think that's kind of the problem with Dust. It's like Counter-Strike. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. This is the problem with round-based games, is the sandbox is very shallow, or rather, there's no sandbox, rather. And I think that's kind of the issue, is that there's not really any reason to bother with the more kind of severe functions of it. I mean, things like Planetary Conquest, when I saw the mechanics of it and how it worked, my first reaction was, well, what's the point? It's kind of like there's just no point. It's a bit like Eve where there's taking space, okay, but you could do stuff with that space. You could build in it, you could live in it, you could enjoy it on a day-to-day basis. In Dust, it's just literally a round that you have the right to click on when somebody attacks. That's it. And that is utter shite. That is really boring bollocks. That's the worst kind of like Dota 2 attempts to draw people into a hierarchic structure to make them feel better than the average player. It's really cheap. So I think that pisses me off a bit. I know you do get good games in PC, don't get me wrong, but I still think that, again, the problem is that there's not enough pull to get the veterans out and into something else. Anyway, I think the reality is that there's so much more that this game should and hopefully will do. And I think, I don't want people to give up on it yet. I do see a lot of people giving up, and I know, these are unpopular things, and I probably will look at, maybe the next video we'll look at some stats, because the average player count for the game on a day-to-day basis is sincerely dropping. It worries me to the point where on prime time you've got 1,800 people on, whereas before you'd have 3,500. That's half your player base disappeared. Also, there's a few interesting things like certain groups in Eve are now looking to play other games like H1Z1 as well. So there is a big risk that a lot of people are just going to turn their back on this game because it is old and there's nothing new to offer coming. So that's the perception of the game, which is a shame. There we go. I didn't finish the match. I gave up. It was such a shit map. I gave up. Hope you enjoyed that. I know it's a bit, I want to be more positive about the game, but it's not easy. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.